Automatic writing. This is the process of relaxing your mind and body and letting a spirit write through your hand. It's a form of channeling. You can let this be any spirit who agrees to come who has the needed area of expertise, or you can focus on reaching out to a certain spirit. This could be a deceased relative, a spirit guide, your higher self, someone else's higher self, or so forth. This is different than the Ouija board because you can get a lot of information very quickly. It does take time and practice, though, to master this skill, and the spirit that you are trying to contact has to agree to work with you. When people hear about this, they often worry that a bad spirit might try to take over them. Before you ever begin this process, you will be setting your intention. That intention will focus on you saying who is allowed to write through your hand, that it will only consist of writing, and that you can end it whenever you want to. If you are in a depressed state, or if you have evil intentions, then you might not have the best spirits come to you. That is because our own vibrational frequency will match the spirits that come to us. So, if you are using this in a high vibrational state and you have pure intentions, then you have nothing to worry about except for receiving divine guidance. Before you start, you want to set your intention. Focus on who you are contacting and the question that you are asking them. It might help to write the question at the top of the page before you begin the automatic writing process. That way, you can reference it easier later. Also, although a lot of spirits like to write, some of them prefer to type. Some spirits have never learned how to type and might find this very challenging, and they might prefer writing, but others would prefer typing. So you can play around with this after you have contacted the spirit that you're working with, and you can see what works best. Then you want to enter a state of deep relaxation or a trance-like state. Do this in whatever way works best for you. It could be deep breathing, hypnosis, meditation, or so on. As you're doing this, you want to be seated comfortably with your hand and pen on the paper. If you normally write with your right hand, you want to try this with your left hand initially, or vice versa. If you are using your non-dominant hand when you write, though, you are going to be less focused on what is coming across. You want to be in such a relaxed state that you do not notice when the pen begins to move. However, this is really hard at first because you're eager for the process to start. So, if you are using your non-dominant hand and you do notice the pen moving, having it in that hand will make it a lot less likely for you to interpret what the pen is writing. The hardest part of this process is trying not to analyze as the pen is moving. You want to put your mind in another state. Focus on anything but what the pen is doing. If you have a really hard time blocking out what the pen is writing and you find yourself focusing on it too much, even if you're not looking at the paper, then you can try to distract yourself in another way, such as watching TV. It also helps to be in dim lighting so that you cannot easily see the paper. Other than making sure that your pen is not running off of the page, you should have no other concern about looking too closely at what is being written. You want to try your best to keep your gaze away from the paper, as long as you can make sure that you are staying on the book. That is your only concern. Once the writing does start, you want to just let your hand write until it stops on its own accord. This could be brief or it could go on for quite a while, just depending on the length of the message that is coming across. You might get frustrated by not getting a clear message the first few times. It takes practice to clear your mind that much and try to not be interested in what is being written at the time. It also takes practice for the spirit to get comfortable using your hand. So at first, you might have scribbles and not be able to read it. As the writing continues, it will get clearer and clearer. You'll also find that in automatic writing, the handwriting is not your own. The information might come across in cursive even if you've never written in cursive. Numbers might be written differently than you would write them yourself. That is because the spirit is writing it and it is their handwriting. So if you try this out and you're not sure if it's you unintentionally doing the writing or a spirit, first of all, if you're having to ask that question, you most likely did it yourself. When a spirit does the writing, your hand moves without your knowledge of what is being written. Secondly, the handwriting will look different than your own. I would also make sure that you have plenty of paper before beginning. There is nothing more frustrating than being in the middle of receiving a message and you run out of room to finish that message, or you start back at the top and your words start overlapping with the other ones, making it very difficult to read. Also, like I said before, make sure that you're in a comfortable position because this can actually be quite tiring if you are waiting a while for the message to come through, or if you have a long message and you have to write for a long time. So make sure that you are in a very comfortable position where you can relax your arm and hand as much as possible while you're doing this. All right, that is all I have for you guys today. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.